And it's annoying that I have two Xanders and I don't know which is which. One of them was a person that had a very wholesome story. Yeah, when I met him, he used to be homeless, and I had him on my channel. We did an interview asking him what it's like to be homeless. But now he's working for the government and he's earning more money than me, so I consider that to be a wholesome story. The other Xander is a guy from the chat. I don't know anything about him, except that he likes my streams. So I can't differentiate between the two. But other than that, yeah, no more Street Fighter today. I played a lot of it. I probably upset a couple of regulars who aren't here for the video games. I managed to get in Diamond, by the way. My Zangief is Diamond 1 star. So I'm really happy with that accomplishment. I go to bed thinking that I have achieved something with my life. I have managed to do the impossible. And yeah, it's something that I'm not going to show on stream because I'm getting my ass whooped. Like when you get to Diamond, people are playing a little bit differently. It's fine. I need to adjust. I need to accommodate. But still, yeah, it is what it is. Modern controls, what can I say? You pick them up and you get to Diamond. So yeah, the stream wasn't actually on time. It was 1 minute late. But it's still better than usual. Right, Geeks and Gamers got demonetized. Krishe got a community guideline strike. Things aren't looking great at YouTube. I spoke with Arch. If you guys know who Kirsche is, a VTuber, we're going to stream with her. Like negotiations are in the making. She's very based. I will have a video about her saying how YouTube gave her a community guideline strike literally on her birthday. Not a very nice thing, but what can you do? So, Geeks and Gamers, yeah. Oh, there was also another thing. Ara Kasperian, like, Ara Kasperian on the Young Turks did the oopsie. Apparently, she doesn't like being called a birthing person. And because of that, trans people on Twitter were outraged. Hassan Piker went like, who called you a birthing person, Anna? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure like no one calls her like that in real life, you know, even though the US documents are showing that type of language being used. You know, like in the UK, they use words like bonus hole, like very degrading stuff. But, you know, probably no one called her like that in real life, but on Twitter, I'm sure they did. Because, you know, if you go on Twitter, the people there, they're like the type of people we're going to have 5 years from now. And the reason she's concerned, like, I get what Anna is. You know, like, Anna is the type of person that as long as it doesn't affect her personally, she doesn't care. In fact, she would encourage it, right? For example, environmentalist policy. So, like, environmentalist policy is something that she supported for years. Until, apparently, they're taking away the ability of people to buy new gas stoves. And that is upsetting her because she would have to completely remodel her house in order to allow for an electric stove. So now she's like, you know, she doesn't really appreciate that. The same with trans ideology, right? Like up until they called her a birthing person, she didn't care. But now she does. And of course, there was a trans person at the Young Turks, which didn't appreciate that. And they decided to quit. They made a long video, like 40 minutes long, criticizing Anna, saying that they quit because of her. And this is what Anna does. I want you all to see it. Listen to this. This is her response.
So, unfortunately, Benny has decided to leave TYT. I am definitely heartbroken over her decision to do that. So, unfortunately, Benny has decided to leave TYT. I am definitely heartbroken over her decision to do that.
Do you guys think that was a slip of the tongue or that was intentional? Do you think it's like, let's say something and have plausible deniability, or was it intentional? What do you think? Because I find it difficult to believe that Ara Kasperian, from the Young Turks, who has worked with trans people before, and also has worked with this particular individual, doesn't know the pronouns. Like, so Benny was a person that worked at TYT, I understand. They were part of the group, right? And after Anna started rambling about her not enjoying the fact that people are calling her a Bervik person, they decided to quit. And they made a long ass video attacking Anna and saying what a bigoted, transphobic individual she is and how she's endangering people and blah, 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 blah. And Anna made this statement, which is very interesting. And a lot of people on the internet are wondering, yeah, it's not very progressive. Muy problemática, yes. And people are wondering, well, did she do it intentionally or what is it, a slip of the tongue? We will never know, unfortunately. According to her, I assume it's a slip of the tongue. Has to be intentional or they would have made another take. I think it's on a live stream. So I think she was doing this on air. It is interesting, though. That is interesting, yes, because if it's not on air, they could have done another take. Like, this is a big no-no. Dude, like, you gotta understand, from what I get from the intelligentsia on Twitter, people far more wise than me, is that even when there's, like, a mass shooting or, you know, someone commits a horrible crime like rape, you're not supposed to misgender them even then, right? So, it's kind of like things that we do not do as a society under any circumstance. Like, for example, for conservatives, like for right-wingers. Like, what is a thing that we should not do under any circumstance? And that is torture, right? Like, even no matter the crime that a person has committed, legally speaking, and, you know, like, of course, the governments, they operate places like Guantanamo Bay, and they use various other words like enhanced interrogation technique and stuff. But, like, we as a society, you know, like, if you ask the overwhelming amount of Americans, like, what we shouldn't do, like, torture would definitely be something that everyone would agree. Yes, like, you shouldn't do this regardless of what the person did. Even capital punishment is more acceptable, you know, like, in certain situations, you're like, okay, well, if that person did something really bad, capital punishment should do. But torture, no. And I think, like, this is the same with progressives. Like, misgendering is equal to torture. Like, it should not be done in under any circumstance, no matter what the person has committed, no matter what the person has done. And I think, like, this is something that what they are trying to achieve is to abolish gender, right? So, like, they're trying to make it so that people believe that gender is like fashion. Like, if today you want to be a man, you're a man. If tomorrow you want to be a woman, you're a woman. And everyone else believes this, right? Like, it's because they will flat out ask you, like, do you believe that a trans woman is a woman, right? So it's all about belief. It's not necessarily about just performative action, right? It's not enough to respect someone's pronouns and to treat them the same way you treat the other gender. No, like, you need to believe. That's what they're interested in. So the moment, like, you're basically outing yourself as being a heathen when you misgender someone. It's you show that you do not believe, right? So it's not necessarily like that the person is being offended or whatever. No. The problem is that you do not believe, right? You do not say the correct thing. Like, deep in your heart, you do not share the belief. So that is the thing. Ben Shapiro and Anna Kasparian collab. There's a lot of people that say that Anna Kasparian should be on the Daily Wire, and I noticed that many people haven't looked into it, but the Daily Wire is now starting to become like the Disney of right wing. What I mean by this is it's now a massive business enterprise, covering many speakers, and it's got a lot of influence, and it's got backings with politicians and stuff. So this is why they are struggling to, well, it's not they're struggling, they can't even cancel the Daily Wire, right? Like, they can demonetize a little bit, they can pretend that they're giving a community guideline strike, but it's much more difficult than going after Crowder. It's because they're very well connected, they're very wealthy, so yeah, they're being difficult to deal with. But we'll see. You know, from what I noticed is that the censorship is ramping up on YouTube. They're watering the definition of what hate speech is. Pretty much everything that has to do with transgender issues is being heavily scrutinized on the channel. And they're amping up their AI bots, I guess, because I have seen channels getting community guideline strikes without any reason and channels being shut down. The perfect example there was a guy making League of Legends videos and he got his channel shut down completely for nudity violations. It's like, well, the guy is playing League of Legends. What the fuck? You know? But I guess like the bot may have seen the loading screen, and they considered that to be lewd or something, and it completely deleted his channel. He did get it back, but still. Anna Kasparian did a Daily Wire interview with Ben. See, I did not know that. That is interesting. I'll have to watch it after the stream. That sounds very fascinating. Anna Kasparian going to start playing 40k soon. That was something that I would pay for. If she plays 40k with Henry Cavill, would be amazing. Right, so, let's see, what else can we talk about? There were some things that transpired since I took a little break from talking about politics. Affirmative action in the United States has been abolished. I mean, I will tell you this. When I was a kid, I think I was in 6th grade or 7th grade, we had this course called, I think it was civic class. Right, civic class. And in civic class, we learned the basics of how the government functions, like what is the parliament, what is the executive branch, what is the legal branch, the importance of separations of power, human rights, what is free speech. You know, like we learned all of that in school. And a part of it was like to explain to us that we should never discriminate, and, you know, like discrimination is wrong and blah, 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 blah. But then they talked about affirmative action, right? And I was actually paying attention to that course. I was actually interested. And the first question that I asked is like, well, how is affirmative action not discrimination? Right? Because like the whole thing was, well, we need to promote people of Roma ethnicity into places at the university and whatnot. And I was like, well, how is that not discrimination? And the teacher went, it's like, yeah, but it's positive discrimination, so it's okay. You know, that just didn't sit well with me. Apparently in America that was actually the thing, right? Like you have affirmative action, which is literally just like discriminating because you're taking away the places from other people. This is why they actually won. It's like they're taking away places from Asian people. And yeah, it got struck down by the Supreme Court. But what I would like to point out is that you can actually fix this. Like, if you are legitimately concerned about marginalized people, we have this in Romania. It's giving, not affirmative action, but like giving places for people who are poor, right? And why is like a big difference? Because they will say, well, yeah, but minorities, you know, on average, like black people on average are from poorer families and blah, blah, blah. And while that may be true, take into account that affirmative action doesn't care. Like, affirmative action can go for a rich black person, which is not fair, right? The solution is that everyone can be poor, right? Like regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your class. Like, for example, there was a kid that was a colleague of mine in med school, was getting really good grades, but unfortunately his parents died in a car crash. Like, just try to imagine this. You know, you speak with your parents this morning, and they go out shopping, and they die. Right? And you get the phone call like that. What goes on through your head when you hear that? You know, like, completely like your life changes from one day to another with one of these events. So, he ended up being poor. Because, like, all of a sudden, like, you know, he was relying on the income of his parents. But now, his parents aren't there, and there's, like, no money coming in. I think, like, he had a grandparent or something which managed to take care of him. But, like, still, it was a harrowing news. It's like, hey, by the way, yeah, your parents died in a car crash. But because, you know, in Romania, we have this affirmative action for the poor, he actually signed up for a welfare program showing that there is no income coming into his house, showing that he has good grades. And because of that, he was allowed to continue doing university, and now he's working as a doctor. And apparently he's doing very good because he was very determined to study, knowing that this is literally his only lifeline, because otherwise he would die of poverty. And yeah, I mean, this is a much more fair system because it can happen to anyone. It can happen to me, it can happen to you, regardless of your skin color or sexual orientation. Anyone can actually end up in such a situation. Selling buyer's remorse. I always sell buyer's remorse. The super chats that I get from the stream are going to go to making my video game. And, hopefully you guys will enjoy it when it's out. But yeah. I managed to contact a highly successful Japanese artist. Hopefully he is going to be inclined to do some drawings for me. And I'm very happy today. We're at the negotiation phase. Because I got some money on Subscribestar, I was able to reach out to more expensive and actually renowned artists, which is an interesting thing. Like, this is how you promote indie games. You get artists that people know, and they are famous, and you know, they draw the art for you, and you get to see them. Their following gets to check out your game as well. The Japanese artist is going to do business with the gaijin. So, like, as I mentioned before, I did talk about this issue. Japanese artists are reluctant to work with people from NA, North America. I'm not from North America, but I guess, like, from their point of view, everyone looks like North American. They view it toxic for their brand. And, you know, it's their right. I'm not going to start shit. I'm not going to name drop people. But I do understand where they're coming from. Like, if you don't want to draw for someone, you shouldn't draw for someone. I'm not going to start up a stink. I'm just going to make them regret that they didn't take the opportunity. Because if my game ends up looking good and being successful, they would have wished that they took the opportunity in drawing for me. But that's pretty much the extent of retaliation that I'm going to get. I don't want to name and shame people and go around on Twitter and say, oh, look, I went to this artist and, you know, he said, oh, because you're from NA, I'm not going to draw for you. It's like, why? Why would I do that? Why would I even want someone to draw for me out of spite? So yes, definitely not. Well, thank you, kiddos, for the $5. I appreciate it. Proper human behavior. It is, isn't it? I will tell you something else. Another story about my cousin who went to France. This was years ago, decades ago, actually. She was at France, and the police officer stopped her and asked her to show him her phone, because apparently there was a pickpocket in the area and someone stole the phone. And the police officer heard her talk Romanian, so they assumed, you know. And yeah, I mean, she shows him the phone. Apparently that wasn't the phone. But she didn't start any trouble, right? If I was there, I would have actually maybe started some shit. I would have been like, okay, so like, what if it was the same model of phone? Like, what would you have done then, you know? But like, fine. The reason she didn't start any shit is because France actually gave her a chance to study at the French university, right? So she felt indebted to the nation of France and didn't feel like it was her place to start shit over there. She understood that other people from my country are going there and they're starting up shit. And because of that, the authorities are viewing Romanians in a disparaging light. However, you know, it was her job to show that not all Romanians are like that. And it's probably what I would have done too. Like, when you go to another place, like another country, I think it's okay to respect their rules, customs, and traditions, regardless if you disagree with them, if you find them abhorrent or whatever. Because you chose to go there, right? The border of France didn't sneak up on her. And I do agree that what she did was correct. Like, imagine, like, trying to get the officer fired or anything like that. Like, why? You know? But, of course, in the meantime, there have been other type of laws and regulations. In France, officers aren't allowed to strip and search, and it is what it is. So, Ethan Van Skyer play the Rockaz I'm a Romanian earlier? I don't know. I haven't talked with Ethan in a while. Maybe I should. The last time I wanted to commission something from Ethan, it was for a VTuber. And he didn't even consider my application. He was like, are you serious? And there was like another Comicsgate guy, which I wanted to commission something from him. Also like a person that I knew, and he was like $1,000 per image. And I want to say, you know, like, I helped a lot of these people, not Ethan. Like, Ethan didn't need my help. But I helped a lot of other people when they had small channels. Back in the day, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I promoted them on my channel. I talked about them. I directed people towards their campaigns on Twitter and shit. And when you come to me and you say that, it's like, oh, well, I'll draw for you $1,000. You know, I mean, just say you don't want to draw it. Just be like, if at least I have more respect for him. It's like, okay, well, I'm not interested. Right. You know, if you're not interested, you're not interested. But like, to say $1,000, that, like, come on. And I'm not asking for like friendly prices, but like market standard, please. Market standard. Need to look less Californian. Well, thank you for being a member for 9 months, Solon. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like, you know, when you don't want to do something, but you're going to ask for a ridiculous price just in case that person is willing to pay it. You're going to be like, oh, fine. You know, it's. But it is what. No, I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to say this. In the I guess streaming world, some people are very douchebaggy behind the scenes. I will draw for $3.50. Usually the price for a drawing that's like really good is $200 to $300. If you want commercial release, it can go to $400 to $500. But definitely like $1,000, a picture worth $1,000. I mean, that would be. I would have to go and show you, but it would have to be AAA gaming standard, pretty much. Like it would have to look sublime, you know. Like it would need like a background that has like very high detail. Like, let me show you something. Okay, hold on. I can show you something that I commissioned for my game for marketing purposes, right? So I'll make this picture public later on. It's okay to show it, but let me just find it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I mean, I was really blown away by this artist. But where the heck is the picture? And I'll show you how much. Okay, I found the picture. Right. So this picture is worth $200. The artist is amazing. Did a really great job. If you look, it's got like really great attention to detail. Like in the background, you know, he had to draw all of these by hand. Like he didn't use any type of AI art. There's like some reflections in the mirror. So this is like a $200 picture. Okay, like this looks professional enough to put it on a comic book. Sure, you know, like I'm pretty sure that if you're looking at it, you may find like some inconsistencies or, you know, some perspective issues. But it's fine, you know. Again, it's $200. Now imagine how the picture is supposed to look if you're going to ask $1,000. Like $1,000 for one character, right? Like, because the more characters you add in the picture, then the more expensive it gets. Like, that makes sense. But imagine if you're asking $1,000. I mean, for $1,000, you like, okay, so I would expect to see actual realistic reflections in the mirror. I would expect to see the buildings look as realistic as possible at that point. You know, everything on the bike should actually look like an actual motorcycle, and everything should be functional. Not a single. I wouldn't expect to see one single perspective error. Everything in the bike should show reflections. Like everything that's metal and it reflects, it should reflect. Right? Like that was what I expect for $1,000, and I guarantee to you that guy wouldn't do it. But if you're going to talk market standards now, because I've been dealing with a lot of artists. Yeah, it's pretty much like a photorealistic picture that you draw by hand. That's what I would expect to see for $1,000. And especially if it has like things that aren't realistic, like a furry or you know, like Ratchet and Clank. Okay, so you have like a picture of Ratchet and Clank that is so photorealistic, it looks like it's real, and you drew it by hand. Yes, that is $1,000. I would say, yeah, sure, fine. That may even be $2,000. But yes, $200 with commercial release for that picture is a fair price. It also... Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, the reason he asked $200 is because it also has a succubus edit. Let me show you the succubus edit now. Give me 1 second. since I'm promoting my stuff. This is literally what I got it. It's for like the thing is like I wanted to get it for a promotion, but it ended up to be so good that I may even have it in the game at this point. Yeah, so this is the succubus edit. If you use an editor, you can actually make her transform, and it's kind of cool. I mean, like, look at the facial features. Look. And by the way, this is not the 4K version. The 4K version is even better. But yeah, so like if this is $200, you know, you don't come to me and you say, I will give you something else though. When it comes to artists, no, this is more than a day's work. This is probably 4 to 5 days. It's difficult to come with something like that. But the thing is, where's the version with the shoes off? Yeah. No, this is where your money is going. Like, people who donate to me or give me on Subscribestar, like, this is where it's going. Like, it's going for art because it's really difficult to make. But if the artist has a lot of commissions, right? So even, like you will see a mediocre artist or an artist who draws a little bit above average. There was an artist, I'm not going to give names, but there was this artist, which all of us agree at one point that I was correct. When we were doing the Dungeons and Dragons campaigns with Sargon, there was this artist that drew for us. And because he was drawing for such a public place, you know, like a main event, because there were like 2,000, 3,000 people watching us play D&D, he was getting a lot of commissions. And his rates were astonishing. Like, he was asking an obscene amount for a picture, which definitely didn't look like the one I showed. Right? And the reason for this is that if you're an artist and you're getting a lot of commissions because you have publicity or whatever, then, yeah, I mean, you should. 200 for a PNG is brain damage. Listen, Reashin, how do you think video games are made? Do you understand what commercial release is? Do you understand what a business investment is? Like, you're getting, yeah, sure, you're paying $200 for a PNG, but you're hoping to make more when people buy the product. So, take into account that when you're playing a video game, literally everything you see in that video game has been drawn by a person, and it probably costed more than $200. So yeah, I mean, I'm telling you about the market rates, you know. I do agree, though, that people that just buy a picture and just keep it to look at it, I wouldn't say it's brain damage, but it's an interesting hobby. I personally don't have it. Like, there's many people that just commission a picture and they just look at it or use it as a wallpaper. I'm like, meh, not my cup of tea. I'm doing this for a business. I'm making a video game and I need these pictures in order to create the animations. So, yes. But anyway, right. I'm not going to give names, Aiden Paladin. I know you want me to, but I'm not. I want to see more Kimberly on Street Fighter. Oh my god, no. I know that you guys want to... Like, there are a group of people that want me to play Street Fighter. But other people who don't. Alright, let's see how much time we have left. We got 30 more minutes, so I guess we can talk about the interesting aspect. Speaking about people wasting money, right? If you think that I'm wasting money by commissioning art for a video game, well, you haven't seen anything yet. So apparently, there is this lady which charges $500 an hour to help Gen Z and millennial workers overcome their fear on talking on the phone. So this is actually very interesting because I actually knew a person that was a millennial and she literally couldn't talk over the phone. Now, she used to be my girlfriend, and it's interesting because at one point she moved in a different city. So now she lived in Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania, 300 kilometers away from me, and she wanted to order a pizza. But she couldn't because she had to talk on the phone. So she asked me to order a pizza for her in Bucharest. I don't know. I cannot understand this. But apparently there are these people which do have like this weird social anxiety. So like they can actually go outside, they can do normal activities, but they can't for the life of them talk on the phone. I do not understand why. Like for me, it's actually easier to talk on the phone than it is to talk in real person. Or at least it used to be, because now that I'm grown up, I don't care. But when I was like more of an introvert than I am now, yeah, things were different. So this lady is asking $480. Now, the thing that I find interesting, hold on, I'm getting some messages and I need to show the person that I'm busy. Give me a sec. All right. The reason that I find it interesting is that it probably works because she is asking this obscene amount of cash. Because a lot of people are attacking this lady and they're saying, oh my god, like, why is she asking so much? Like, first of all, it's not her fault, right? Like, everything is worth what a purchaser would pay for. So if people are willing to pay $480 for a service, then that service is actually worth $480. Unless you're doing some money laundering scheme. But secondly, if you pay a lot, you are more willing to listen to the advice of that person. So I remember a friend of mine, he was a little bit on the chancla, he was very fat, you know, he was quite a corporeal manifestation. So what he did is he went to this person that's like a weight loss trainer. Like it teaches you to lose weight without actually having to exercise. So just by like changing your diet, you're going to be able to lose weight. And, you know, like, many people criticized him because, like, oh, well, you can find how to lose weight and you can find this diet on the internet. And there's something about losing weight that every single time when you try is going to happen. You're going to have a lot of chuckle fucks coming up and saying, it's like, oh, actually, you need to use a keto diet. No. Keto diet is horrible. You need to use this and that. No. You need to make sure you don't drink soy. No, you need to... And, you know, like, every person, the moment you talk about losing weight, everyone becomes a fucking expert on the subject. Right? And you have the dude bros. It's like, oh, well, no, you need to hit the gym. Like, dude, I don't have fucking time to hit the gym. I don't want... No, you need to, because dude, I don't want to become buff, okay? I don't want to become swole. I just want to lose 5 kilograms. Oh, no, because you don't... Like, shut the fuck up. Like, literally, that's the conversation. Anyone that actually tried to lose weight knows what I'm talking about. Knows what and regardless of what you do, and even I'm willing to bet that if you go to the gym, you're going to get people like, yo, and no, the milkshake, sorry, the protein shake that you did is incorrect. No, actually, you don't exercise properly. You need to exercise like this. And my opinion, everyone's body is different. That's why some people like pickles and others hate them, right? Like when it comes to your body, there are some general rules that apply, but overwhelmingly, if it works for you, then it fucking works for you, right? Oh my god, intermittent fasting. You need to no, keto diet. But if it works for you, like if you intermittent fast and you lose weight, then that's good. You know, I remember when I was on a diet and I went to this lady and she told me, gave me like a daily routine on what I have to eat. And it was like, okay, so she added some soy to the whole thing. Like I think I had to eat like soybeans and stuff. Wasn't a lot, but oh my god, the internet, oh, that's killing your testosterone. Like, dude, I'm eating like, what, like 5 grams? Yes, but your testosterone, it's like, dude, fuck off. But like, my favorite point was that I was actually losing weight, right? I was, it was very difficult, right? Because when you don't eat, you start sweating, you get anxious, you get angry, so it was difficult. But I was losing weight, and yet I still had the chuckle fox coming up and telling me, no, actually, you're not doing it properly. And it's like, shut the fuck up, I'm losing weight, what the fuck do you want? But anyway, right, so, in the end, the reason I lost weight is because I paid that money, an obscene amount of wealth to that lady, right? So I really despise her and hated her, by the way, because she was starving me to death. But the fact that I was paying money was like, okay, well, I paid money for this. I should actually follow the regime. And I assume it's the same with this lady, which is charging $480 for people to learn how to talk on the phone. Like, if you're willing to pay this much and she tells you to do something, chances are you're probably going to do it. So smartphones can do a lot of things, but plenty of users make very few actual phone calls of them, if at all. Right, so we do live in the age of it's easier to text. I can see that. I definitely can see that. So many young workers are lacking the confidence to speak effectively on the phone at work. So she's called the phone lady. Gen Z have never had the skills given to them. In my generation, the phone was on the wall, everyone's house, and we are taught to answer it and make calls at a young age. Yeah, actually, I remember before the smartphone, you had a phone that was like one of those phones that you dialed. A disc phone, it was called. And you had only one in the house. You couldn't take it anywhere. Like, you had to speak in... you had to speak in the hallway where everyone could listen. And they would call. The person closest to the phone would answer. The other person would say, I want to speak with such and such. And the other person would be like, such and such. Phone call for you. And then, you know, like, a rotary phone. And you have to spend there and talk with people. Oh, my God. But anyway, right. So that was the thing. It was a landline, yes. And you had to pay for the minute of words spoken. So oftentimes my dad would be angry. It's like, how much are you talking at the phone? Because if you're talking like 5 minutes, that's acceptable. But if you were talking 30 minutes, then that would be a lot of money that you had to pay. Yeah, imagine like calling your girlfriend and the girl's dad answers. And it's like, well, who are you? Well, what do you do? Especially if you had like more, how should I say, conservative father that also liked to take the piss. And he would be like, well, what are your intentions with my daughter? From what type of family do you come? You miss those times? Oh my God, I find them horrible. Jesus Christ. I always saw it in American movies that like the women had their phone in their room. That was not allowed. Like in my house, you had to speak on the hallway. And not to mention like when you had like the wall phones, that was like the modern invention of mobile phones. I had a friend that was incredibly rich, and the fact that he could take his phone and move it to different rooms and talk, that was just wow. Wow, so like you can speak on the phone without your dad listening in? Holy shit. If you had a wireless phone, anyone can drop on you? Yeah, like the wall phones, like if you had the exact same model, or if there were like houses that were big and had like 2 wall phones, and you were talking upstairs, like the mom from downstairs could pick up the phone and listen to what you were talking. Now I want to see an AI image of V, but as a buff dude. Kind of like the Lord of Gyms and Harry Potter. I think that's easy to make. Like there were a couple of AI images of me and Saga of a Cod that went pretty much viral. So yeah. Honestly, a lot of people are thinking that the way to use AI is text to image. The best way to use AI is image to image. Like you show an image to the AI and you ask it to replicate it, and it actually gives you better results. Kind of funny, you know, going back to my video game, when I said that I'm paying $200 for a picture, I had a couple of individuals, chuckleheads, going, it's like, oh, well, why don't you use AI images then? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to use AI images because first of all, like I understood the controversy regarding it. I know that there are people that are vehemently against it, even though I firmly believe that it is the future. And most importantly is you do not own the intellectual property, right? So like if you generate an AI image, either it's a gray legal area and it's still not decided who owns the property, or it's the company with the AI that owns the property. So those were like 2 of the reasons that I considered. But more importantly, I was insulted yet again by people. It's like, oh, you're such a moron, you're such an idiot, you paid $200 for an artist. I mean, you know, what can you add to this conversation? What can you tell people? See, I don't even fucking know. It's so infuriating, honestly. It's like, okay, so like, what business have you started? How much money did you pay for your business? it is what it is. And by the way, other people are like, I will pirate your game. And I'm like, I can't stop you from doing that. In fact, my game is not even going to have any sort of piracy protection. But if you end up liking it, which I hope you do, and you want a sequel, then, well, you best hope that I break even. Because it's expensive to make. It's kind of like $30,000 at least. The development costs $2,500 per month. And then you add the musicians, right? The composers. You add the visual artists. You add the animators. And it all adds up. And I reckon it's around 30K. Right? So if I don't break even, then you're not going to get a sequel. Like, I'm sorry. And it's interesting. Like, I had a guy, like, literally telling me that he's going to pirate the game. And I gave him this response, which I think is a reasonable response to give. And he was angry. It's like, what do you mean no sequel? And I'm like, motherfucker, what do you want from me? You want me to be your slave? This is what you're asking me for. But, like, at least the slave would get food. You don't even want me to have that. But yeah, literally, you have to spend money to have nice things. I have no issue with you spending money on game art. I would want the source files rather than PNG. Oh, I did get the source file. I did get the PDS. The PNG is just something that I got as a screenshot in order to show to people, but I'm not showing them the fucking PDS because that's evidence over the fact that I bought the fucking art. Like, that's one way to prove to Steam that what you have is not AI art and it's actually yours. Because if some other chucklehead comes up and says, oh, well, I saw this and I'm stealing it now, and then they can come to Steam with a cease and desist letter and be like, well, actually, he's using my art, I'd be like, okay, well, where's the PDS? Because I have it. Do you have it? No? Oh, then shut the fuck up. So that's why I'm not showing the PDS. Right. You got to be smart about these things. And when you look at the history of video gaming, you notice that there were a lot of actual court scandals because of this. Here's another interesting aspect. You guys want to talk about Loli? Should we talk about... I want to talk about Loli. Another controversy that's brewing on Twitter, especially. PSD? Yeah. I'm not against Steam banning Loli content. Dun dun dun. Like, it's fine. I understand it. In some countries it's illegal, in other countries it's a gray area. So, yeah, I mean, they want to comply with EU regulations. But what really pisses me off is that when it comes to anime, it's very hard to carbon date a character. So it's easy to tell, okay, well, this character is like 5 years old. I mean, everyone agrees, right? Like, you look at it, okay, it looks 5 years old, fine. What do you do with a character that looks 17? Like Philia from Skullgirls. Like, Philia from Skullgirls, to me, if the writer of the character would say that she's 20... I mean, hold on, let me bring the character, right? So they censored it recently. We can actually talk about it. This is not anime, but it's let me see if I can find an actual photo of it. And I will tell you, like, one of the problems that artists deal with, especially people who make video games, because let me look for official art, because this is something that I generally didn't know until I got into the industry. All right. So, here we go. I think this one is official. If it's not official, it doesn't matter, because... Right. So, how old is this? Huh? Let's carbon date her. Because I generally don't know. Like, it's up to the screenwriter, right? Like, if the screenwriter says that she is 18, so they censor pictures of her, showing fan service from Skullgirls. That's the controversy. If the writer says that she is 20, she looks 20. I mean, she's got big boobs, right? She's got thick thighs. I guess the face is drawn with big eyes, but, like, this is the anime style, right? But if the writer says that she's 16, well, maybe she is 16. So... the problem that you have on Steam right now, and a lot of Japanese games have been banned over it, is that even though the writer says that all the characters are over the age of 18, a Steam moderator can look at this and say, nah, this is 16. and it bans your entire game. Now the problem with it is that you invested around $30,000 in your game and you can't sell it on Steam, right? So you do not have like correct, concise things that you should follow. Like you do not have like correct guidelines that would say, all right, so your characters need to look like this and this and this and that in order to qualify, right? Basically, if you draw something that looks cute, you are at the risk of allowing the Steam moderator to decide whether it's acceptable or not. So even though like your intention is to draw something over the age of 18, even though your intention is to make sure that it looks over 18 and you give it big boobs and whatever, a Steam moderator can say, nah, I don't see it. And there's nothing you can do. There's no appeal. There's nothing, right? So this is one of the problems that I have regarding the censorship in art. Is that anything that looks cute can be considered as being problematic. And because of this, you know, I've been asked, it's like, oh, why do all your succubi have big boobs? Well, because the Steam moderator, like, I would love to create a succubus that is, like, bead-chested, but I need to make it extremely explicitly clear that all of them are over the age of 18, which is also the intention of the plot, is the intention of the script. Like, there's no question from my mind, but I need to please the Steam moderator. So all of the people that keep asking me, like, why do you not have characters that have different body proportions? That's why, right? I need to have the thick hips, and I need to have the big boobies and long hair. So yeah. But by the way, yeah, no, like, this is the problem that Skullgirls is having. So this is the character which the developers of Skullgirls claim that she is underage, and there were a couple of pantsu shots with her that they censored. Now, take into account that this video game was played on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, you know, like its pictures were on Facebook, right, on Steam, before Steam even allowed lewdness. So, for 10 years, all of these pictures existed and no one complained. No one had a problem with them. But the way they're framing it is they're actually trying to make you believe that there was like Chibiusa from Sailor Moon in naked depictions. No, they're talking about this character and the pictures aren't even that bad. Okay, because I have seen them. And probably YouTube has seen them because this game was played a lot during the course of its initial years. But they're trying to make it sound like the original developers were perverts and that the people who created this were pervert. No. Okay? Absolutely not. There is nothing wrong with this game. Like, I would definitely play it with my mother there. You know what I wouldn't play with my mother in the room? God rest her soul. I wouldn't play The Last of Us. The Last of Us 2, especially with that disturbing scene, yeah, I would have problems playing that with my parents in the room. I would have problems playing that with anyone in the room. That is disgusting, disturbing, right? But apparently that's fine. That's artistic. That is artistic. But if you have like a game like Skullgirls, oh, that's deeply problematic. Like, fuck off. Who gets to make these rules? Irony. You have to give everyone the Kim Kardashian proportions, which is not naturally gained aside from surgery. I don't know. I think I managed to give my characters proper sizes just so that it doesn't upset the moderators. But I'm just trying to tell you from behind the scenes what's going on, you know, because game development means that it's a business. Like, people are putting money into it. And this is some of the issues that they're dealing with. Many game developers, I will tell you also this, people who make hentai games, they're from DC Comics, Marvel Comics, AAA studios, but they hide their names. They use various pseudonyms, they use various things because of the nature of the thing. And the reason they are in this industry is because it's unironically one of the last industries that do not allow for censorship. Like, in this community, you are able to create pretty much whatever you want. And there are many people who just want to make a video game, but, you know, they don't want to deal with the censorship bullshit, so they do the hentai. I don't know. It's kind of sad that it is the way it is, but what can you do? Everything is evaluated by American standards, where women now weigh more than men 60 years ago. Oh my god, like, there is this famous picture, black and white. It shows a woman from a circus that is called the fattest woman on earth. Probably she wasn't the fattest woman on earth, but it was like a circus, right? So they wanted to show something spectacular enough for people to purchase a ticket. That lady would be considered today medium weight, based on what, you know, like she was a little bit chubby, but she could still move around. Rennie went hentai? Oh, that's so cool. I talked with Rennie. Maybe we can do some crossover event, or see if we can promote each other. Did you see that The Last of Us Part 2 lost $220 million? Which, the TV show? I don't know. As I mentioned, and people don't believe me when I say it, but it's true. I can stay disinterested longer than they can stay solvent. I genuinely do not care at all about what they're doing anymore. Like whenever Netflix pushes out a new movie that's a reimagining or a remake, I'm like, okay, so they're going to race swap a couple of characters. The writing is going to be atrocious, and anyone criticizing it is going to be called a racist. And that's their marketing team. So I genuinely like fine. I'm not going to do anything. Just do your stuff and leave me the fuck alone. The game lost 220 million? I do not believe that. I would have to look it up. If the game actually lost 220 million, that would be LOL. It would mean that gamers actually do have common sense at some point, because so the thing that really bothered me with that game, it wasn't the way they depicted Abby. It wasn't the fact that they abused their developers to the fact that it had a higher turnover than the service industry, which is already an industry with a very high turnover. No, it was the fact that they purposefully killed Joel in the game, and they hid it from the gamers, knowing that they would be upset. So, like, they did something to spite their customers, and they freaked out when their customers found out about it earlier, right? Because what they wanted to do is, like, I even looked at what they did. They put enough cutscenes in the beginning of the fucking game, so by the time you get to the place where Joel gets murdered, you can't get a refund. Like, this had to be calculated. All the cutscenes at the beginning, all the exposition you get at the beginning is unskippable, specifically designed for you to spend time playing that game, that by the time you get to that scene, you can't get a refund on scene. Fuck those people. All the ads had Joel doing stuff. Yes. Like, literally, all the ads had you do it. Like, it was the bait and switch. Clear-cut bait and switch. Which didn't need it to exist. The original Lara Croft. By the way, I actually like the first remake of Lara Croft. It's one of the few remakes that I genuinely like. Lara Croft, the Survivor one. But unfortunately, we don't get that either. Mandating your programmers to watch live leak videos sounds like a 4chan meme. Not necessarily. Like, if you're going to... Okay, if I were to make a new video game like Manhunt, or I want to make a video game like Mortal Kombat, but not the comical Mortal Kombat that we have now, but the one that used to be before, right? And you want the... Like, basically, you want to make a Texas the Chainsaw Massacre type of... Yeah, sure, you know, making your people watch live leak videos with their consent, perfectly acceptable. Right? Like not everyone should be able to make all types of art. So, I don't think that it's unreasonable for a person that wants to make pornography to ask other people, hey, you need to watch these types of videos before making the product, because, you know, we want it to look as good as possible. And it's the same thing. It's like, if you want to make a gore video, it's like, yeah, sure, like, you need to watch that type of content if you want to work here. I don't understand, you know, like, some people don't have a problem with it. Like, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, sure, it's like, but like, fine. How can you design it in a video game that tries to emulate realism if you don't know how it looks like in real life? Half-Life 2 has a real-life corpse as a corpse texture in game. I didn't know that, Jesus. But it makes sense. No, I completely agree. You know, like, there was this comic book lady, worked in the comic book industry for a while, but, eventually, you know, she landed the job, and she noticed that she doesn't know much about fighting, and all the comic books have fighting, so she ended up going to kickboxing. She went to kickboxing because she wanted to know how it feels like getting punched and how it feels for an object to be punched, so that she can make comic books better. Like, that was the dedication that people had back when comic books were good. And this is what we get now. It was at a TEDx talk, what I've been describing. Dead Space artists use real cadaver references. Yeah, well, notice how when people do that shit, the game is actually really good. Which is kind of bizarre because when they made the remake of Dead Space, they got rid of the original look of the necromorphs. I never understood that. You know, like, I understood the whole transgender bathroom thing and the whole, you know, wokeification of the ads that they went with. Like, okay, fine. But what I don't get is, like, why did they change the necromorphs? Especially the sounds. Like, the sounds in the first game were quite visceral, brutal, and it worked. And for some reason, they decided to go against that. This is what I don't get. You know, like, all these people doing remakes, that they pick up games that are very popular and they're really great, and they believe that they're better than the original artists, and instead of adding things, they're removing things from the game. Dead Space 1 and 2 scared the crap out of me. I had to stop playing at night with the lights off. It's kind of funny because now that I'm playing it, it's not that scary. But back then, yeah, maybe it's the sound. Maybe they did change some certain things. Let's see. Hey V, to know if you remember me, I'm the Turkish-German guy who was one of your streams around 2016, the one where the stream abruptly ended before the child of your comic book artist friend ran out naked in the background. I do remember that. I just wanted to wish you luck with the project. So I was actually streaming with a DC Comic Pro, right? And it was just a normal stream. Like, I had him on, he was talking about his comic book and shit. And all of a sudden, like in the middle of the stream, his kid, which is butt naked, runs in front of the camera. So immediately I stopped the stream, I deleted. I'm like, thank God I'm not on Twitch, because Twitch wouldn't have allow you to have that. And that was the story. This is why you can't live stream, you know, you never know. Like on Twitch, there was a guy who got carjacked in real life. Like, literally, a guy pulled a gun at his head while he was driving a car and opened fire. And because of that, Twitch terminated his account because, like, you're not allowed to show firearms. And it's like, I don't think the guy wanted to show firearms. I think if the guy would take time back, like, he would definitely not want those firearms to be displayed. No ESG body for realistic gore. Well, you see, this is the funny part. You are allowed to be as violent as possible. It's just human sexuality that's being suppressed, but gratuitous violence is fine. Like, look at Mortal Kombat. Like, Mortal Kombat is coming up. Just look at some of its fatalities. They have absolutely no problem showing those. Like, that's perfectly fine. But for some reason, if it's anything remotely sexual, not even like actual pornography, but like anything lewd, like remotely lewd for the male gaze, you do not get the ESG box for that. Happened with a Pokemon Go player who got robbed on Twitch. Yeah, like, Twitch is just mental illness. I don't know how to explain it. Like, there are situations that you can't control, and you want people to live stream. You know, like, what can you do? Imagine if the media would punish the reporters who had, like, people grabbing the microphone and saying, grab her by the pussy or whatever. It's like, oh, well, we need to fire you now because while you were broadcasting, someone said naughty words, and, you know, even like I bet that in countries where you're not allowed to curse on television, even then the authorities would be understanding, and they would be like, yeah, I mean, come on, you know, like, someone from the street grabbed the reporter's phone and they said that, okay, fine, we're going to give it a pass. But not on Twitch. On Twitch, it's like, no, if it happened, it's against the rules. You're not one of our priority creators, so get fucked. It's not even about, like, double standards. It's just, like, a bizarre applications of the existing standard. Yeah, punish for the comments. Another dumb take. It also happened on YouTube, by the way, with some VTubers. So, you had, like, bots that were promoting, I think it was, like, porn channels. And they would go into the YouTuber's comment section and start promoting it. The problem is that the YouTuber would display his chat as part of the stream. So when people with bannable stuff were posting on the chat, it was also displayed as part of the VTubers content. And it actually got a couple of channels terminated, but at least YouTube looked into it and then went like, yeah, okay, fine, you know, we understand that you guys didn't try to do it. But on Twitch, no. Like on Twitch, it's... Hopefully the bugger didn't have hate in his heart. That is extra charge, yes. Anyway, right, thank you for the super chats. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to go making the other videos that I have planned for today. And hopefully I will see you guys on my other channels. Take care.